The planet was covered in endless ice. Mountains of frozen stone stretched high into the sky, and wide plains of white snow spread out in every direction. The human expedition ship, Aurora Dawn, had landed on the edge of a deep valley where strange energy readings had been detected. The team of explorers stepped out in heavy suits, their boots sinking into the thick snow as the cold wind pushed against them. Myra, the leader of the crew, stood at the front. She was not the oldest among them, but her sharp eyes and calm voice made the others trust her. She lifted her visor and looked toward the valley. There was something hidden there. The scanners from orbit had shown a faint outline under the ice, like the shape of a building buried for ages. "Stay close," Myra ordered, her voice steady. "We don't know what's waiting beneath." Beside her walked Aaron, the engineer of the group. He carried a large pack filled with tools and scanners. Behind them came Lena, a young linguist who had studied old Earth symbols and alien writings for years. The last member of the team was Rin, a quiet but strong man who had been a soldier before joining the Exploration Corps. Together, they formed a small but determined group. The snow crunched under their feet as they moved down into the valley. The air grew colder the deeper they went, and frost began to gather on the edges of their visors. Aaron checked his scanner and shook his head. "The readings are stronger here," he said. "Something's under us. Not natural. Too straight, too clean. Whatever it is, it's old." Myra nodded. "We're close. Keep moving." After an hour of walking, they finally reached the base of the valley. There, half buried in ice, stood a massive stone wall. The surface was smooth and covered in carvings, but the ice hid most of the details. The wall stretched so far that the crew could not see where it ended. It was not just a wall, it was part of a structure, perhaps even a temple. Lena stepped forward and placed her gloved hand on the frozen surface. She leaned closer, brushing away the snow that clung to the carvings. Her eyes widened as she traced the shapes with her fingers. "These are symbols," she whispered. "But they're not alien. Not fully. Some of them look almost like old Earth scripts. Ancient ones." Aaron frowned. "That doesn't make sense. How could human-like writing end up here, on a planet no one's ever touched before?" Myra's expression grew serious. "That's what we're going to find out." The crew set up lights around the area, their beams cutting through the icy fog. Slowly, the wall came into clearer view. The carvings showed tall figures in armor, holding weapons shaped like spears of light. Around them were strange patterns, circles within circles, and spirals that seemed to twist the eye when stared at for too long. As they worked, the storm above grew stronger. Snow began to fall harder, and the wind howled through the valley. Rin kept watch, his hand resting near his sidearm, though no life signs had appeared on the scanners. Something about the place made the air feel heavy, as if unseen eyes were watching them from the ice itself. After hours of effort, Aaron found what seemed to be a doorway. The outline of an arch stood hidden under the frozen wall, its surface glowing faintly when the ice was chipped away. He called Myra over. "This isn't just stone," he said. "There's energy here. The ice is holding it down, but the structure itself is alive. Like it's waiting." Myra touched the surface and felt a low hum beneath her palm. She pulled her hand back quickly. "It's not dead," she whispered. "This place isn't just ruins. It's sleeping." Lena's voice shook with excitement. "This could be the oldest structure ever found. If humans left their mark here somehow, it changes everything we know about history. It means our past is linked with the stars." But Rin's eyes narrowed. He did not share the same excitement. "Or it means something dangerous is sealed here. The Council always warned us not to enter places we don't understand. Maybe there's a reason no one else came here before." The group fell silent. The storm screamed above them, yet the temple wall seemed untouched by time. Even after thousands of years buried in ice, It stood tall and unbroken. The carvings of the armored figures looked almost alive in the glow of the lamps, their eyes sharp, their stances strong, as if they were watching the intruders. Myra looked up at the enormous wall. Her heart beat faster, not from fear but from determination. She had led her crew across dozens of worlds, but nothing had ever felt like this. Something deep inside told her that this discovery was meant for humans. "We came here to explore," she finally said. "We can't turn back now. This temple has been waiting. We're going to see what's inside." Aaron gave a nervous laugh. "You sound like you already know it's a temple." Myra looked at the carvings one last time before answering. "It feels like one. A place built to guard something important. Something that lasted longer than any empire. And now it's calling to us." The team set up camp at the base of the wall, their lights shining against the ancient carvings. The night on the frozen planet was long and silent. The storm above raged, but within the valley, the temple seemed untouched by the chaos of nature. It stood there, frozen in time, waiting for the ones brave enough to enter. Myra sat quietly by the light, her eyes fixed on the glowing arch. She could almost imagine the figures in the carvings stepping down from the wall, alive and breathing, their stone armor shifting with movement. The thought sent a shiver through her, but she did not look away. This was only the beginning. Humanity had just taken its first step into a mystery that had slept for ages beneath the ice. A mystery that would test not only their courage, but the future of their entire species. The storm outside the valley calmed as the long night ended. The first weak light of the frozen sun broke through the clouds, casting pale blue shadows over the snow. The human crew stood at the base of the great wall, their bodies tired from working through the night but their eyes full of determination. The archway hidden beneath the ice seemed brighter in the morning light, as if it wanted to be noticed. Myra gathered her team. She stood tall, her breath rising in white clouds inside her helmet. "We need to find a way through this arch," she said. "Whatever lies inside has been waiting for a very long time. We must be the first to see it." Aaron adjusted the straps of his tool pack. "The ice is thick, but not endless. If we heat it carefully and chip away, we might reveal a door behind it. I'll need power from our portable generator." "Do it," Myra replied. While Aaron set up the equipment, Lena examined more of the carvings along the wall. She brushed frost off the stone and leaned closer, her eyes narrowing as she followed the patterns. The figures carved into the wall were lined in rows, each one holding a spear of light. Their faces were calm, their eyes sharp, and their posture strong, as though they were soldiers frozen mid-stance. "These are not decorations," Lena said softly. "They look like guardians. Watchers of the gate." Rin, standing a few steps back with his hand resting on his weapon, frowned. "Guardians of what? A temple should honor something holy. This looks like a warning. Soldiers standing forever to keep something locked away." Myra looked at the carvings too, but her eyes held more curiosity than fear. "Guardians or not, we won't know the truth unless we step inside." Hours passed as Aaron worked with steady hands. The hiss of heated rods melted ice while he chipped away the hard layers that clung to the stone. Bit by bit, the outline of a large doorway emerged. Faint glowing lines spread across the surface, as though the structure itself recognized the effort to awaken it. Finally, with one last strike, a crack ran across the frozen surface. The ground trembled, and a deep hum rolled through the valley. The crew stepped back, hearts pounding as the glow spread wider. The ice fell away in chunks, crashing to the ground and shattering into mist. When the air cleared, the doorway stood open. Beyond it stretched a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. The walls inside shimmered with patterns of frozen crystal, reflecting the pale light of their lamps. At the center of the hall stood rows of towering statues, taller than any human, carved with the same detail as the figures on the wall outside. Lena gasped. "They're the same." The guardians. The statues stood in perfect formation, each one holding a long spear with both hands, the tips pointing upward. Their armor was carved with precision, showing every plate and line, as though it were real metal. Their faces were calm but stern, their stone eyes watching the intruders without moving. Aaron lifted his scanner, but the display flickered strangely. He frowned and tapped the device. "This can't be right," he said. "I'm reading faint energy inside the statues. Not mechanical energy. Biological." Rin's eyes narrowed. "You're saying they're alive?" "Not alive the way we are," Aaron explained quickly. "But something is inside them. Something faint, almost like a heartbeat locked in stone." The words made the chamber feel colder than the ice outside. Myra stepped forward carefully, her boots echoing on the frozen floor. She stopped in front of the first row of guardians. The statue was massive, twice her height, with a face carved so perfectly it almost seemed human. She reached out and touched the cold stone. The instant her glove made contact, a spark of light rippled across the statue's armor. The glow traveled down its body and into the floor. The hum that filled the air grew louder. All around the chamber, faint lights appeared on the other statues, each one pulsing as though in response to her presence. "Step back," Rin warned, his hand gripping his weapon tighter. But Myra did not move. She felt something deep within the stone, something old yet familiar. The light faded slowly, leaving the guardians still and silent once more. She turned back to her team, her face calm though her heart was racing. "They are not just stone," she said. "They're waiting. But not to harm us. I think they recognize us." Lena's eyes shone with wonder. The carvings outside, the symbols, the guardians. It's as if this place was built for humans. Or at least for those who share a connection with us. Aaron looked doubtful. How could that be? Humanity only just stepped into the stars a few generations ago. Whoever built this temple did so thousands of years before us. Myra shook her head. Maybe our history is older than we know. Maybe the galaxy remembers something we've forgotten. The chamber grew quieter as the hum faded away completely. The guardians returned to their frozen stillness, but the crew could not shake the feeling that they were being watched by 1,000 eyes hidden in stone. Deeper into the temple, another archway stood, its surface covered in frost. Unlike the first door, this one was sealed tight, the ice around it thicker and glowing faintly with a soft blue light. "That must be the inner gate," Myra said. "The real heart of the temple lies beyond it." Ren stepped forward. "And what if that gate is locked for a reason? What if the guardians are not here to welcome us but to keep us out?" The words hung in the cold air. None of them answered right away. The statues stood in silence, tall and unbroken, their spears pointing high like frozen stars. Myra finally spoke. "We came this far, and we cannot turn back now. This temple has chosen to reveal itself to us. Whether it is welcome or warning, we will face it together." The crew set up their camp inside the vast chamber, their lamps casting long shadows across the guardians. The glow of the statues seemed to watch over them as they rested, silent and patient. But as Myra lay awake, staring at the great sealed arch, she could not escape one thought. The guardians had stirred when she touched them, even if only for a moment. They were waiting, yes. But waiting for what? The chamber of guardians stayed silent through the long frozen night. The statues stood still, their spears raised high, their stone eyes fixed on the humans who dared to enter. The soft hum that had once filled the room was gone, but Myra and her crew felt its echo inside their hearts. Something about this temple was alive, and it was watching them. Myra rose first. She tightened the straps on her suit and walked toward the second arch, the one deeper inside the temple. The ice that sealed it glowed faintly, sending ripples of blue light across the floor. It looked stronger than the outer wall, as though the builders had wanted no one to pass easily. Aaron joined her, holding his scanner. The device flickered strangely, the numbers shifting faster than his eyes could follow. "The energy here is stronger," he said. "It is not only holding the ice in place. It is bending something around it. Gravity, maybe. Or time itself." Myra touched the frozen surface. A low vibration rolled through her hand, as if the ice itself was breathing. She pulled her hand back quickly. Her heart beat faster, not out of fear but out of awe. "We are standing on the edge of something impossible," she whispered. Lena approached, her eyes wide with wonder. She had spent the night studying the carvings etched into the walls, and her notebook was filled with sketches. "The symbols speak of a power locked away," she explained. "A force too dangerous to roam free. The guardians were placed here not only to protect it, but to wait for the ones worthy to face it." Ren frowned. He had not slept at all, keeping watch with his weapon close at hand. "Every story of danger begins with words like that," he muttered. "Maybe we should seal this place again and leave it buried." But Myra shook her head. "No. We were drawn here for a reason. If the galaxy has forgotten what lies inside, then it falls to us to remember." The team gathered their equipment and began clearing the frost from the inner gate. The work was hard, and every strike of their tools echoed loudly in the chamber. Slowly, the icy glow dimmed, as if the temple itself was deciding whether to allow them passage. Then it happened. As Myra placed both hands on the frozen gate, a surge of light burst through the chamber. The air trembled, and the sound of rushing wind filled their ears though no wind was present. The world around them shifted. Snowflakes that had drifted in through the broken outer wall hung motionless in the air. The glow from their lamps froze mid-flicker, the beams stuck in place like solid pillars of glass. Even the sound of Aaron's tool stopped, leaving the chamber in complete silence. Time itself had stopped. Myra turned slowly. Her breath caught in her throat. Aaron stood with his arm raised, his tool frozen in mid-swing, his face caught in half a smile. Lena was leaning forward, her mouth open as if about to speak, but no words came. Ren stood with his weapon ready, his finger resting on the trigger, but he was as still as stone. Only Myra moved. Only she breathed. The weight of the silence pressed against her chest, but she forced herself to remain calm. "What is happening?" she whispered aloud, her voice echoing strangely against the frozen air. The statues of the guardians glowed faintly, their eyes shining with blue light. For the first time, Myra thought she saw them move. Their heads tilted slightly, their stone eyes turning toward her. She felt their gaze heavy on her shoulders, not hostile, but measuring. One guardian near the front raised its spear slowly. The stone did not crack, nor did it break. It moved as though it had always been alive. Its head bowed slightly toward her. Then the light faded, and it returned to stillness, frozen once again. Myra stepped back, her heart racing. She looked at her crew, still frozen in time, and then at the gate glowing faintly before her. She realized what it meant. The temple had chosen her. She walked back to Aaron and touched his shoulder, but he did not respond. His body was solid, unmoving, as if carved from ice. She tried to shake him, but nothing changed. The air around him was hard, heavy, unbending. She returned to the gate. The glow pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. She placed her hand on the surface again. The silence deepened. The guardian's eyes shone brighter, filling the chamber with their light. She felt their attention surround her, pulling at her thoughts, pressing against her spirit. Images flashed before her eyes, stars burning, wars fought across galaxies, ancient beings standing tall in armor, sealing away a glowing sphere of light behind this very gate. She saw humans among them, not like the humans of today, but taller, stronger, dressed in strange clothing. They fought alongside the armored guardians, their faces filled with determination. Together, they locked something away, something that pulsed with the power to twist time itself. The vision faded, and Myra was left gasping for breath. She fell to her knees, her hands still pressed to the frozen surface. The gate's glow dimmed slowly, and the hum faded. Then, with a sound like rushing wind, time returned. The snowflakes fell once more, the lamps flickered, and Aaron's tool struck the wall with a loud clang. Lena spoke the word she had been about to say, and Ren shifted slightly, his weapon still in hand. None of them noticed anything strange. To them, no time had passed. But Myra knew. She had seen what they could not. She stood up, brushing the frost from her gloves. Her crew looked at her with questions in their eyes, but she did not answer immediately. She stared at the gate, her mind racing with the images she had witnessed. "The temple is not dead," she finally said, her voice steady. "It is alive. It has locked time itself inside. And it chose to show me what it holds." Aaron blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "We were just working. Nothing happened." Lena tilted her head. "You saw something, didn't you? That's why your eyes look different." Myra nodded slowly. "I saw our past. I saw humans fighting alongside these guardians. They sealed something here, something too dangerous to leave free. And now we are standing where they once stood." The chamber grew colder, the silence heavy once again. The guardians remained still, their eyes dark now, but Myra could not shake the memory of their gaze. Ren finally spoke. His voice was sharp but calm. "If what you say is true, then we should leave this place. No good can come from opening a door sealed by warriors and time itself." Myra looked at him, then back at the gate. Her heart told her otherwise. The temple had revealed its secret to her alone, and she felt the weight of that choice pressing against her. "No," she said firmly. "We came this far, and we cannot turn back. The temple has waited for us. We will find out why." The chamber was silent again, but Myra's mind could not rest. The memory of frozen time still weighed on her. She could still see the ancient humans standing side by side with the armored guardians. She could still feel their determination, their decision to lock away the glowing sphere of power. Her crew noticed her unease. Aaron walked beside her, carrying his tools, his brow furrowed. "You keep staring at the gate," he said quietly. "It is like you saw something none of us did." Myra hesitated but gave a small nod. "When I touched the gate, time stopped. All of you froze, even the snow in the air. Only I could move. The guardians looked at me as if I were meant to be here. I saw visions of the past. Humans were part of this place long ago." Aaron's eyes widened. "Humans. Here. That would change everything we know." Ren, standing close with his weapon, gave a low sigh. "Or maybe your mind is playing tricks. This temple is filled with strange energy. We should not trust what we cannot explain." Lena stepped forward, her eyes filled with curiosity. "No, I believe her. The carvings, the guardians, the symbols, everything points to humanity being part of this temple's story. Maybe Myra was chosen to see what we could not." Before Myra could answer, a sharp alarm rang from Aaron's scanner. He looked down and frowned. "Ships are entering orbit above this planet," he said. "Not ours. Not human." The crew hurried outside, climbing up the frozen steps and standing at the edge of the valley. Above the storm clouds, several dark shapes pierced through the sky. They were alien vessels, sleek and sharp, painted with the mark of the Galactic Council. Ren muttered under his breath, "Of course they came." Within minutes, lights shone through the snowstorm as smaller crafts descended into the valley. The humans shielded their eyes as beams of energy carved paths through the snow, clearing landing zones. From the crafts stepped tall beings with pale silver skin, their long cloaks flowing behind them. Their eyes glowed faintly, sharp and calculating. These were scholars of the council, chosen to study dangerous places. Behind them walk soldiers in armor, their weapons glowing with contained energy. The leader of the alien group approached, his steps calm but heavy with authority. His voice carried through the icy air, deep and clear. "Humans," he said. "You were warned not to open what you do not understand." Myra stood tall, not lowering her gaze. "We found this place by chance. It called to us. We had to explore." The alien's eyes narrowed. "This temple is forbidden. Countless races have tried to open it. Each time, the ones who entered were never seen again. It does not belong to you." Lena whispered to Myra, "They knew about the temple. Maybe for thousands of years." The alien leader raised his hand, and the soldiers around him spread out, their weapons ready though not raised. "Step away from the gate. Leave this world. The council has decided this place must remain sealed." Myra's heart pounded. She wanted to speak of what she had seen, but she held her tongue. She sensed that if she told them, the council would never allow humans near the temple again. Still, she could not let them control the discovery. "We are explorers," Myra said firmly. "We cannot walk away. We have seen the guardians. They stirred when we entered. They did not strike us. They watched. That means something." The alien leader's voice grew sharper. "The guardians stirred because you disturbed their prison. They are not your allies. They are keepers of the seal, and their silence is a warning. You must not go further." Aaron looked uncertain. He studied the alien soldiers, then glanced at Myra. "Maybe they are right," he said softly. "Maybe this is too much for us." But Lena shook her head. "No. The symbols are clear. Humans were part of this. We are connected to this temple." The guardians recognized Myra. That cannot be ignored. Ren kept his hand on his weapon, his eyes fixed on the soldiers spreading through the valley. He said nothing, but Myra could see the tension in his stance. The alien leader looked at her one last time. "Leave now, and you may live. Stay, and you will be trapped as others were before. The temple consumes all who try to unlock its heart." With that, he turned and walked back toward his craft. The soldiers followed, though many kept their glowing eyes fixed on the humans as if warning them silently. The crafts lifted into the storm and vanished into the sky. The valley grew quiet again, only the sound of the wind rushing through the frozen air. Myra gathered her crew close. "They will return," she said. "The council does not trust us. They do not want us near this place." Aaron rubbed his forehead. "Maybe for good reason. If every other race failed here, why would we succeed?" "Because this place is tied to us," Myra answered. Her voice was calm but strong. "The carvings show it. The guardians accepted me. And I saw humans in the visions. We are not outsiders here. We are part of this story." Lena nodded, her face glowing with excitement. "The council fears what they do not understand. They want to bury the truth. But if this temple was waiting for us, then it is our duty to uncover it." Ren finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "Then we must be ready. If the council thinks we are a threat, they will not only warn us next time. They will fight us." Myra placed her hand on the frozen gate once more. The faint hum returned, pulsing gently under her palm. She felt the guardians watching again, silent and patient. "This temple holds something meant for humanity," she said. "The council cannot take that from us. We will open it, no matter the cost." The storm above roared louder, the winds howling like voices from another age. The valley shook with the sound, as though the temple itself had heard her promise. The guardians stood in stillness, their stone eyes glowing faintly again, as if they agreed. Myra looked at her crew. They were tired, afraid, but their faces carried the same spark she felt in her chest. They were ready to face whatever waited behind the sealed gate. And so, while the galaxy warned them to turn back, the humans chose instead to go forward. The valley was quiet again after the alien ships left, but the silence did not bring peace. The warning of the council echoed in Myra's mind, yet it only strengthened her resolve. She stood before the frozen gate, staring at the faint blue glow locked beneath the thick layers of ice. Her crew gathered around her. Aaron carried his heavy tool pack, his eyes filled with worry. Lena held her notebook close, the pages marked with sketches of carvings and ancient symbols. Rin stood as always with his weapon ready, his gaze scanning the shadows around them. "We cannot wait," Myra said firmly. "The council will return, and next time they will not simply warn us. If we want answers, we must open this gate before they stop us." Aaron frowned. "It may not be possible. The energy here is unlike anything I have seen. It is holding time itself in place. If we push too hard, we could be trapped inside." Lena stepped forward. "But what if the temple is waiting for us to try? The carvings suggest humans were part of sealing this place. Maybe only humans can open it again." Rin shook his head. "Or maybe only humans are foolish enough to try." Despite his words, Myra saw the truth in Lena's eyes. The Guardians had stirred when she touched the gate. The vision of ancient humans still burned inside her mind. She felt certain that they had not come here by accident. "We will use the ship's power," Myra decided. "If the gate reacts to energy, we can channel what we have into the mechanism beneath the ice." "Aaron, can you make that work?" Aaron hesitated, then nodded slowly. "It will be dangerous. The ship was not built for this kind of transfer. But if we connect the generator to the surface vanes of the gate, it might respond." "Do it," Myra said. The crew worked quickly. They ran thick cables from the Aurora Dawn, planting them into the cracks around the frozen arch. Aaron attached devices to control the flow, his hands steady despite his unease. Lena stood nearby, reading the carvings aloud as though her words might guide the process. Rin kept watch, his eyes never leaving the snowy skies in case the council returned. When everything was ready, Aaron looked at Myra. "Once we start, there is no stopping until it either works or burns out." "Are you certain?" Myra placed her hand on the cold surface of the gate. The faint hum rose again beneath her palm, steady and strong. She drew in a breath and nodded. "Start it." Aaron activated the controls. The generator roared to life, and energy surged through the cables. The ground trembled as sparks of light spread across the frozen gate. Blue lines lit up like rivers beneath the ice, racing upward to form a web of glowing patterns. The hum grew louder, filling the chamber with its steady pulse. The Guardians stirred again, their stone eyes glowing faintly, their spears shining with soft light. Lena gasped, clutching her notebook to her chest. "They are waking," she whispered. "They know what we are doing." Aaron gritted his teeth as the generator strained. "The power is draining fast. I cannot hold it for long." Myra pressed her hands harder against the gate. "Hold steady. It is responding." The ice cracked and shattered, falling in heavy chunks to the ground. The glow behind the surface grew brighter, spreading outward in waves. The Guardians' eyes blazed like stars, their heads tilting toward the humans. Then, without warning, the statues moved. One by one, they stepped down from their places, their heavy feet echoing through the chamber. The humans froze as the Guardians surrounded them, forming a circle with spears raised. Rin raised his weapon, but Myra lifted her hand quickly. "Wait," she said. "They are not attacking." The Guardians stood still, their glowing eyes fixed on Myra. Slowly, they lowered their spears and bent one knee, bowing before her. The chamber filled with the sound of stone grinding against stone, yet the movement was smooth, alive. Aaron's mouth fell open. "They are kneeling." "To you." Lena's voice trembled with awe. They see her as rightful. They accept her. The hum of the gate grew to a thunder, shaking the ground beneath their feet. A great crack ran down the center of the frozen arch. With a blinding flash, the gate split open. A gust of warm air rushed out, carrying with it a strange scent like metal and ozone. The guardians rose to their full height and stepped back, forming two perfect lines leading toward the opening. Their eyes glowed brighter, guiding the humans forward. Myra's heart pounded in her chest. She looked back at her crew. Aaron's hands shook as he held his controls, sweat dripping down his brow. Lena's eyes were wide with wonder, glowing in the light of the gate. Ren's grip tightened on his weapon, his face hard but his stance steady. They chose us, Myra said. This is what the council feared. We are the ones meant to walk inside. Slowly, she stepped toward the opening. The light spilled across her suit, wrapping her in a soft glow. The guardians did not move to stop her. Instead, their spears lifted in silent salute. Her crew followed. Aaron hesitated, muttering under his breath about dangers and power surges, but his loyalty pushed him forward. Lena moved quickly, her curiosity leading her steps. Ren followed last, his eyes scanning every shadow, ready for any threat. They passed through the broken arch and entered a chamber unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls shimmered with crystal veins that pulsed like living veins of light. The floor was smooth, reflecting their movements as though it were glass. At the far end of the hall stood a vast pedestal, and above it floated a sphere of glowing energy, spinning slowly in the air. The sight stole their breath. The sphere pulsed with light, its surface shifting like liquid fire. Each pulse seemed to echo through their bones, making their hearts beat in rhythm with it. This is it, Lena whispered. The heart of the temple. The power sealed away for ages. Aaron swallowed hard. It feels alive. Myra stepped closer, her voice low but steady. This is what the guardians were protecting. This is what our ancestors sealed. The sphere pulsed brighter as she approached, casting long shadows across the chamber. The hum grew louder, as if recognizing her presence. The guardians remained in the outer chamber, silent and watchful, their duty fulfilled for now. Myra stood at the edge of the pedestal, staring up at the sphere of time itself. The choice now rested with her, and with humanity. The glowing sphere pulsed above the pedestal, filling the chamber with waves of light. Myra stood closest, her eyes fixed on the strange object that seemed alive. The warmth from it touched her skin even through her suit. Each beat of its light matched the rhythm of her heart, as if it recognized her. Behind her, Aaron adjusted his scanner nervously. The numbers flashed wildly, the readings far beyond anything he had seen. This is not just energy, he said, his voice tight. This is compressed time itself. A power stored like a beating heart. Lena stepped forward, her notebook pressed against her chest. The carvings showed a circle, like a sun that never sets. They must have sealed this to stop it from changing the world. But why? Ren kept his weapon raised, his eyes darting between the glowing walls and the floating sphere. Because no one should control something like this. Whoever uses it could bend reality. The words echoed in the chamber, and Myra felt their weight. Yet she also felt a pull, a quiet voice inside her mind urging her to touch the sphere. It was not a command, but a call, as if the ancient temple itself had been waiting for her. She took one careful step forward. The sphere brightened. A soft hum filled the air, no longer distant but close, like a whisper in her ear. Aaron grabbed her arm quickly. Myra, wait. You do not know what it will do. One wrong move could destroy us. But Myra shook her head. It will not harm us. The guardians bowed because this place accepts us. It knows we are human. It wants us to remember. Her words carried strength, though her heart raced. Slowly, she reached her hand out toward the sphere. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, the chamber exploded with light. The ground shook violently, the crystal veins in the walls flashing like lightning. The hum turned into a roar, and for a heartbeat, everything froze. Time itself seemed to stop. Aaron's hand, still stretched toward Myra, hung motionless in the air. Lena's notebook floated in mid-fall, its pages frozen in place. Even Rin's eyes, sharp and alert, were locked in stillness. But Myra could move. She gasped, looking around at her motionless crew. Only she was free. A voice spoke inside her mind, calm and ancient. You have awakened the heart of time. Long ago, humans and guardians sealed this place to protect the galaxy from itself. Now you have returned. You must choose. Myra's breath caught. She turned toward the sphere, which glowed brighter now, its surface rippling like liquid. The voice seemed to come from it. What must I choose? She whispered. To keep the power sealed, leaving the galaxy as it is, bound to its wars and struggles. Or to release it, to awaken what was lost, and change the flow of time itself. Her chest tightened. She thought of the Galactic Council, their stern faces warning her not to touch this temple. She thought of her crew, standing by her side despite the danger. And she thought of humanity, scattered across the stars, often looked down upon by other species, always seen as weaker. What will happen if I release it? She asked. The voice replied, then time will return to its natural flow. The frozen ages will end. Knowledge buried will rise again. But power always brings conflict. The council will come. The guardians will awaken fully. And you must lead. Myra's hands trembled. She glanced at her friends, still frozen in place. Without their voices, the weight of the decision rested on her alone. She closed her eyes, drawing in a long breath. Humanity had always fought to survive, always pushed forward even when the galaxy doubted them. Maybe this was their chance to stand equal at last. When she opened her eyes, her voice was steady. I choose to awaken it. The sphere pulsed brighter than ever before, a flood of light bursting outward. The chamber shook as cracks spread through the crystal walls, releasing waves of warmth. Time rushed back into motion. Aaron stumbled forward, nearly falling. Lena's notebook hit the floor with a sharp slap. Rin snapped his weapon back into place, his eyes narrowing. What happened? Aaron shouted, trying to regain balance. Myra turned to them, her face glowing in the light. It spoke to me. I made the choice. The temple is waking. Before they could respond, the sphere expanded, releasing tendrils of light that spread across the hall. The guardians outside stirred again, but this time their movements were sharper, faster, alive. Their stone bodies cracked open, revealing glowing cores of energy inside. They were no longer statues. They were beings of living power, standing tall and ready. The crew watched in shock as the guardians moved with purpose. They formed ranks along the glowing walls, their spears blazing like blades of pure light. The temple itself vibrated, its hum now a chorus that filled the valley outside. Aaron grabbed his scanner again. This energy is spreading beyond the temple. It is reaching into the valley, the mountains, even the skies. The entire region is being rewoven. Lena's eyes widened. The snow is melting. They ran to the entrance and looked out. The frozen valley that had been silent for centuries now shifted. Ice cracked and collapsed into rivers. Ancient trees rose from beneath the thawing ground, blooming with green leaves as if centuries passed in seconds. Birds filled the air, creatures Myra had never seen before, freed from their frozen prison. The temple was not just waking. Time itself was flowing again. Myra felt both awe and fear. The beauty of it was undeniable, but the power was beyond measure. The galaxy would notice. The council would return. And next time, they would not come with warnings but with armies. Ren stepped to her side, his eyes sharp. You know what this means. We cannot stay hidden anymore. They will come for us. Myra nodded. Yes. But we are not powerless now. Humanity is not powerless. This temple has chosen us, and the guardians stand with us. As if in answer, the guardians outside struck their spears to the ground in unison. A wave of light rippled across the valley, echoing like a signal through the skies. Aaron wiped his brow, his face pale. That was no simple movement. That was a call. They are sending a message. Lena whispered, to the galaxy. The sphere behind them pulsed one final time, brighter than a sun, before settling into a steady glow above the pedestal. It no longer shook the chamber. Instead, it beat like a heart, alive but calm, waiting. Myra turned back to her crew, her voice filled with quiet strength. The awakening has begun. Now we must face what comes. Outside, far beyond the valley, ships stirred in orbit. Across the stars, signals were being picked up. The Council, the Empires, and others who had long forgotten this place now felt its return. The galaxy was shifting, and humanity stood at the center of it. Myra looked at the Guardians, then at her crew. We will not run. We will not hide. Whatever comes, we face it together. The Guardians' eyes blazed, their ranks steady. The Valley of Ice had become a valley of life once more, and above it all, the ancient temple stood tall, no longer frozen in time. The awakening was complete. But the true battle was yet to come. The valley was no longer silent. Rivers flowed where ice once ruled, trees stretched upward toward the sky, and the air carried the sound of life returning. But high above, the peace was already threatened. Dark shapes moved in orbit, ships of the Galactic Council. Their presence was a warning. The awakening of the temple had not gone unnoticed. Myra stood on the steps of the ancient temple, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The Guardians lined the valley floor, glowing with steady light. Their tall forms stood like an army forged from time itself, their spears planted firmly in the earth. Aaron and Lena prepared their equipment, while Ren adjusted his weapon, scanning the skies with sharp eyes. They are here, Ren said. His voice was low but steady. Aaron frowned at his scanner. More than one fleet. They are sending everything they can. To them, this is not a discovery. This is a threat. Lena hugged her notebook, her face pale but determined. They fear what we found. They fear that humanity has something powerful. Myra turned to them. Then let them come. This is no longer only about us. This is about every human across the stars. For too long, they called us weak. They doubted us. Now we stand equal. The ground trembled as the first council ships broke through the clouds. Their engines roared, sending waves of dust across the valley. Giant crafts shaped like dark blades hovered above, their cannons glowing with dangerous energy. A voice thundered through the air, broadcast from the flagship. Humans, you were warned. Leave the temple or face destruction. The power you awaken belongs to the council, not to you. The words echoed, but Myra did not flinch. She stepped forward, raising her voice so it carried across the valley. This temple chose us. It chose humanity. We will not give it away. We will not bow. As if answering her, the guardians struck their spears against the earth, sending a wave of light upward. The glow formed a shield dome above the valley, a shimmering barrier that resisted the council's first strike. Energy blasts rained down, but the shield held strong, pulsing with the power of the temple. Aaron gasped as he watched his readings. The guardians are channeling the temple's energy into a defense system. They are alive, protecting us. Ren raised his weapon, his eyes locked on the descending troops from the council ships. Then we fight beside them. Council soldiers poured down from the crafts, armored and armed with plasma rifles. They marched in formation, confident in their strength. But when they reached the valley floor, the guardians moved. The stone beings struck with their glowing spears, each swing sending out waves of force that shattered the council's lines. The battle began. Myra led her crew down the temple steps, joining the fight. Ren fired shot after shot, his accuracy unmatched. Aaron used his scanner to disrupt enemy communications, sending confusion through their ranks. Lena, though no soldier, guided the Guardians by reading the carvings and calling out commands that awakened their hidden powers. Myra herself carried nothing but her courage. Yet wherever she moved, the Guardians seemed to follow, protecting her as if she were their chosen leader. She raised her hand, and the sphere inside the temple pulsed brighter. Streams of light raced across the valley, striking down enemy machines. Still, the council pressed harder. More ships landed, more troops flooded the valley. Their leaders believed they could overwhelm the temple by force. The shield began to weaken. Aaron shouted, "The energy is draining. They are pushing too hard." Myra closed her eyes for a moment. The voice of the sphere returned, calm and steady. "Your strength is not in power alone. Your strength is in unity. Call to them." Her eyes snapped open. She climbed to the highest stone of the temple, her voice rising above the noise of battle. "Humans across the stars, hear me. We are not weak. We are not forgotten. This temple has awakened for us. Stand proud, stand strong. Humanity will rise." Her words carried far, amplified by the temple's energy. Across distant colonies, across ships scattered through the galaxy, humans heard her call. They sent signals back, voices filled with hope. The Guardians roared with light, their cores blazing brighter than before. They struck as one, sending a final wave of energy that split the ground, forcing the council soldiers to retreat. But the battle was not finished. The flagship above charged its main cannon, a weapon strong enough to destroy the valley entirely. The glowing light at its core grew brighter and brighter, ready to fire. Aaron shouted in panic. "If that cannon fires, everything will end. Not even the Guardians can stop it." Myra looked at her crew, at the Guardians, at the valley that had been reborn. She knew what she had to do. She placed both hands on the glowing sphere inside the temple. At once, her body filled with warmth. Streams of light flowed through her, connecting her to the Guardians, the valley, and the temple itself. She was no longer only Myra. She was part of the ancient power. The voice spoke again, not in her mind but through her. "Time will answer." She lifted her hands, and the temple shone brighter than a star. The air bent, and time itself shifted. The flagship's cannon fired, but the beam froze midair, locked in place. Seconds stretched into eternity. The enemy's strongest weapon could not move forward. With one final cry, Myra pushed the energy outward. The beam shattered into fragments of light, dissolving into the sky. The flagship trembled, its systems collapsing, before it fled back into orbit. The other ships followed, retreating quickly, leaving the valley behind. The battle was over. Silence fell. The Guardians lowered their spears, their glowing bodies dimming slightly but still standing strong. Rivers flowed calmly again, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Aaron collapsed to the ground, breathing hard. "We survived. Against everything, we survived." Lena smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. "Not just survived. We proved something. Humanity proved itself." Ren lowered his weapon and looked at Myra with respect. "You stood against them when no one else would. The galaxy will remember this." Myra stepped down from the temple, her face calm but her eyes shining with determination. "This is only the beginning. The council will not stop. Others will come. But we will be ready. Humanity will not hide anymore." The Guardians bowed their heads in unison, acknowledging her words. The valley glowed with gentle light, no longer frozen, no longer silent. The ancient temple had awakened. humanity had made its stand. And though the future was uncertain, one truth was clear. The galaxy would never see them as weak again. Myra looked up at the stars, her heart steady. Let them come. We are ready.